While the four men were traveling in the desert due to the heat, one of them decided to check his appearance in the mirror. When he opened it, he saw someone behind him who froze him in fear. There was a large monster behind the two of them. They quickly ran to get away. One of them was caught by the monster, pretending to be dead at first, but the monster was clever. It realized he was alive, and as he tried to escape, the monster caught and devoured him. Exhausted, the remaining three paused. When they looked up, shock and fear enveloped them as they saw a new monster waiting for them. In 1934, numerous mysteries were discovered in Liaoning, China. Then in 1956, Kungxian's palace basement, considered significant, was established. In 1972, the well-preserved remains of a woman dating back thousands of years were found. By 1974, fossils of unidentified animals were unearthed in the Kunlun Mountains. In 1978, archaeologist Yang Cia Lin bravely entered Kunlun and made a great discovery. This sparked interest, leading to the inauguration of Post 749 and the implementation of organized research efforts in 1979. In 1979, the organizations persisted in researching the Kunlun Mountains. Despite the scorching midday heat, the dedicated workers continued their tasks. Yang Ping, a kind-hearted and beautiful woman, noticed one of the workers fainting from the heat. She immediately approached him and offered water. When Sung Sun, the worker's friend, saw this, he quickly lifted Hu Bai, the struggling worker, and urged him to resume working. While Hu Bai continued his tasks, he quietly observed Yang Ping nursing a secret affection for her. In a moment, he spotted a large skull of a creature. Suddenly, a powerful force emerged from inside the cave where they were working. Due to the intensity of the tremor, their belongings, including the workers, scattered. Afterward, they heard the roars of a fierce beast from within the cave. As they circled the cave's entrance, prepared for the approaching monster, Yang Ping's father emerged, immediately assisted by his daughter. Later that evening, Officer Han announced that they would be exploring the caves to investigate the explosive impact. One by one, the workers volunteered, but Hu Bai and Sung Sun had no plans to join. However, Yang Ping suddenly volunteered herself. Wanting to be with her, Hu Bai followed, and Sung Sun volunteered to join the operation. They started the operation immediately and went deep into the mountain cave with only torches at hand. As they explored the caves, they discovered large holes and ice fossils. The team also encountered large skulls and bones of a massive monster. At some point, they saw an opening to the cave where they could see the other mountain from afar. During their exploration on the snow mountain tops, they saw big fresh footprints. They continued unaware that ferocious beasts were waiting for them. While traveling, little strange bats flew around them. One landed on Yang Ping's arm, which eventually flew away. The other flew in front of Dr. Yang, turned blue, and dashed towards him. One of the workers thought it was harmless and caught it in the palm of his hand. Little did he know, the bat blew blue fire, causing his death. The bats surrounded them and the soldiers burned to ashes one by one. Fortunately, they managed to repel the bats with guns. Shortly after, a monster saw them and caused an avalanche. The remaining workers tried to run away from it, but some of them got caught because the avalanche was too fast for them. They ran until they reached the edge of the mountain, left with no choice but to slide down. Before descending, Dr. Yang advised them. They continued sliding, and some of them got pierced by ice spikes. Meanwhile, Yang Ping and Hu Bai hung onto an ice spike, embraced each other, and eventually, the rope snapped, causing them to fall. Miraculously, the four of them survived the fall. Hu Bai woke up while Yang Ping looked into his eyes. The four of them continued to venture deep into the mountain caves. They explored until they reached the location of the demon tower. Dr. Yang said that it is sealing demons inside that has 9 levels. The two proceeded to explore inside the tower. Upon entering, the tower got activated, ready to release the demons. Fortunately, Sung Sun realized that Dr. Yang wanted to release the demons, so he canceled the activation. When they canceled it, a horde of bats appeared. Sung Sun then walked forward to the bats and sacrificed himself so that the 3 could escape. The 3 ran as the remaining bats pursued them. Hu Bai tried to protect the 2, but one of the bats managed to get behind him. Hu Bai panicked while on fire, so Yang Ping pushed him to the falls and the 2 jumped with him as well. While underwater, Hu Bai swam close to Yang Ping. As they held each other, a large sea monster appeared. Yang Ping saw it, so she pushed Hu Bai away and the sea monster managed to bite her and bring her with it. Hu Bai swam in pain as he saw his loved one being taken away. Hu Bai is the sole survivor of the operation with a burn on his back. Officer Han then tells him that they found the bodies of the other workers except for Dr. Yang's and Yang Ping's. While riding a train, Hu Bai hallucinates in much loneliness. He sees workers with Sung Sun singing happily together. He is about to join them but later finds out that he is just hallucinating. When he steps out of the train, a bald man named Mr. Wang approaches him. Meanwhile, Qindong and Officer Han look for him. Mr. Wang then brings Hu Bai to his place. 3 years later, Hu Bai becomes Mr. Wang's subordinate and works at his library. One day, Mr. Wang invites him to eat at his favorite restaurant. While dining in the restaurant, the performer recognizes him and whispers something to the waitress. When his order comes, he says that it's not his order, but the waitress points at the performer. The performer comes closer to him while singing until he realizes that it's his long-lost brother, Wang Gain-san. In the back of Hubai's mind, he thinks that Mr. Wang brought him there intentionally. At the library, while fixing the books on the shelf, Hubai finds one of the books wrapped in paper. He uncovers it and sees a book written by Dr. Yang. As he flips the pages, one of the pages has a fold. When he removes the fold, he sees an illustration of the Demon Tower. Hubai realizes that from the very beginning, Dr. Yang knew what the tower is. Dr. Yang also knew that he and Yang Ping are the key to open the tower. At the headquarters of Post 749, a demonized Yang Ping with no memories intact. Officer Han then instructs Chen Dong to call her Shirley from now on. Meanwhile, Hubai gets curious about books about demons and starts reading them. He reads different books to research and find answers to what happened years ago. In his research, he learns about the humanoid race living in the demon world. He finds out that their ancestors are from Saturn who transported to Earth. The Demon Tower Level 9 is their legacy found in Mount Kunlun. Day after day, Hubai gets immersed in the books about demons. As he takes care of the library, he reads the books related to it. While reading, he remembers Yang Ping from time to time, missing her, so he wants to have answers. Hubai is also curious why he and Yang Ping are the only two that can open the tower. He gets caught up by his curiosity, not realizing that many seasons have passed since he started reading. Every time he finishes reading books about the Bat Flames, Demon Race, and Tower Demon, a new book appears on the table which makes Hubai wonder. 3 years later, Post 749 finds Dr. Yang, who traveled 2,000 miles inside a cave from Mount Kunlun. Dr. Yang seems to be out of his mind when they find him, so Officer Han immediately consoles him. In Oil City, West China, while the Chinese people gather to watch performances and have fun, the announcer introduces the first performer and goes inside the red curtains. Shortly after, she comes out and shouts that there are major problems occurring. She tells the people to run away quickly, but the people think that it's part of the show. The people start laughing as the announcer runs away from the stage as well. All of a sudden, a large silhouette behind the curtains appears from above. The people start to realize that it's not an act, so they run in panic toward outside the theater. Meanwhile, Hubai starts to feel pain on his back. Hubai is then brought to the hospital where the doctor finds that his bones near the burn changed. Officer Han finds it out as well and tells it to Dr. Yang. After Hubai gets discharged from the hospital, he continues to read books. However, while reading, he feels an immense pain at his back and a blue fire comes out of his back. His friend tries to help him, but Hubai can't control himself, so he throws Wang Gainsan into the bookshelf. He continues to lose himself and the things around him float. Mr. Wang enters the room calmly as if he knows what's happening. Hubai calms down later on and asks Mr. Wang about what's happening to him. Mr. Wang tells him that he got attacked by a fire creature which contaminated his blood with demonic force. He gains demonic magic from it, but Mr. Wang warns him that it can drag him to hell if not used properly. Mr. Wang proceeds to introduce himself as from the nation of Solin. Mr. Wang shows him his great power, altering reality before their eyes. He then brings them to the tomb of the Prince Wang Su. Multiple spirits surround them, which are protectors of the prince. Curious about Mr. Wang's intentions, Hubai asks him why he is trying to protect him. Mr. Wang then gives them a background about 10 years ago. He tells them that Hubai's predecessor is Prince Wang Su. He is the one who led mankind to fight the aliens from Saturn trying to invade Earth. The prince sacrifices his body to shut the tower, leading to Earth's victory. The demons scattered after, the demons who manage to survive live with the humans and secretly marry them. They are the humanoids called Demon Earth Race. Mr. Wang reveals to Hubai that because he is the descendant of the prince, he is the only one who can open the tower again. Meanwhile, at Post 749 headquarters, Officer Han gets angry with his men when he finds out that they lost Dr. Yang. After a while, he receives a call saying that Shirley has awakened with memories of Yang Ping. She tells them that she wants to go to his father's research and bring Hubai. He takes action immediately and goes to the library where Hubai is working. Officer Han goes straight to the point and asks Hubai to look for Dr. Yang. Obviously, he refuses, but when Officer Han shows him a picture of Yang Ping and tells him that she is with them, Hubai changes his mind and goes to Mr. Wang to ask for approval. However, Mr. Wang insists that he should stay at the library because the demon might find him. While they are talking, a smoke-like monster enters the chamber of the fallen prince. Hubai still insists that he wants to meet Yang Ping. Left with no choice, Mr. Wang gives him approval but reminds him not to use his powers. He then stays because he has to protect the body of the prince. Hubai leaves him behind and proceeds to go to Yang Ping's location. His friend Wang Gainsan cuts his hair and decides to accompany him. After a long journey, the two arrive at the meeting place. After many years, Hubai sees Yang Ping face to face, who is now called Shirley. He comes closer and calls her Yang Ping, but she insists that Hubai call her Shirley. While he is trying to make her remember him, Chen Tong comes at them and introduces himself. Shirley seems to be fond of Chen Tong as he touches his face. A few moments later, their team proceeds to travel towards the Kunlun mountain where the doctor last came. While on their way, Hubai asks Shirley several questions about how she survived and where she has been. Shirley gets annoyed, so she covers his mouth. He removes it and asks her if she has already forgotten him. Strangely, Shirley touches his face and whispers to him after to be careful with the people around them. As she leaves, one of their comrades, Chow Weiwei, smiles at him, followed by Wang Gain-san, who tells him that he has fallen in love with Weiwei. When they are near the field of the doctor's disappearance, they set up a camp and discuss the possibilities of where the doctor is. While talking, Hubei knows for sure that these people with them are not volunteers. The following morning, a great sandstorm emerges. They immediately pack their things and ride their camels. As they ride away, the sandstorm is just behind them. They are followed by the great sandstorm until they reach an area where there is an invisible barricade blocking the sandstorm. Hubei and the others manage to get away and arrive at an abandoned town. While examining the abandoned town, one of Qinteng's men tells him that their two companions got separated from them. When Hubei realizes that Wang Gain-san gets lost, he immediately volunteers to find them, but Lyra stops him because they cannot afford to lose another one. While Wang Gain-san and 3 others are walking in the middle of the desert, a large monster appears from behind. They continued walking, unaware that a large monster was behind them. Wang Gain-san decided to check himself in his mirror. He paused in shock as he saw a huge monster looming behind them. The 4 scatter as the monster pursues them. One of them gets outrun, so the monster attacks him. The man tries to fool the monster, but the monster is smart enough. He tries to get away but gets devoured. The others get away as they run as far as they can. Unfortunately, another monster appears above them. They immediately run away from it, but another monster appeared below the ground and catches one of them. The 2 remaining find a bike and ride it towards the barricade, away from the monsters. The 2 manage to regroup with the others and tell them about the monsters. Hubei then tells Qinteng that they should leave before the monsters arrive. However, Qinteng refuses and tells him that they should acquire information about the monsters first before leaving. Hubei gets angry at him, so he asks Shirley to leave with him, but she refuses to leave as well. Left with no choice, Hubei stays with them. They hear roars, so they immediately equip themselves with AKs. All of a sudden, a broken bus goes forward to them. Suddenly, a monster appears from behind and tries to attack them. Fortunately, they react immediately and take down one of the monsters. Another one roars from behind and gets their attention, not knowing that the other one is still alive. The monster lures them and Shirley follows the monster recklessly. Hubei sees her, so he goes after her. Meanwhile, the monster behind them disappears. A few moments later, the monster's numbers increase. They gather towards their location coming from different areas. Hubei continues to follow Shirley towards the underground where there are strange carvings on the walls. He continues to go deep underground until he arrives at the tomb of the prince. He walks around it unaware that there is a monster behind him. The post 749 together with Wang Gain-san holds their ground as the monsters attack them. They use guns with silver bullets and RPGs, but the monsters are too many and some of them get caught. At the tomb, Hubei gets thrown away by a monster from behind and gets hit in the head. Hubei gets unconscious because of the impact, so the monster attempts to eat him. However, Shirley appears from above to protect him and drives the monster away. She elevates him from the ground and places him inside the tomb and whispers that he waits for her. Inside the tomb, Hubei screams her name. All of a sudden, a mysterious man appears and tells him that if the Iblis is rebuilt, the prince will awaken. Hubei gets sucked to the ground and sees the demon tower level 9. He sneaks behind the rocks and sees a monster light a fire to a man floating. A spirit enters the scene and removes the fire surrounding the man. The man gets awakened and he goes on top of the monster. Meanwhile, Chow Weiwei hides and pretends to be a mannequin as the monster screams in front of her. The monster checks if she is truly a mannequin, so it screams in front of her a second time. Chow Weiwei manages to fool the monster, but her hand is shaking as the monster leaves. When it is about to get away, she attempts to take pictures of it. The monster hears her, so she tries to run away. Fortunately, Wang Gain-san calls her inside the bus. The monster attempts many times to attack them, but Wang Gain-san saves Chow Weiwei. Meanwhile, the mysterious spirit talks with him and tells him that he and Shirley are the only way to open the tower. The spirit tells him that Shirley will kill all of his men above. So Hubei tells the spirit to take him back so that he will try to convince Shirley. Before the spirit transports him back, it reminds him that if he kills Shirley, Yang Ping will be gone forever. The spirit punches him in the abdomen and transports him back to the real world. Post 749 continues to struggle as the monsters attack them. Qinteng almost falls from the top of a building but manages to buy time, while Hubei manages to shoot an RPG at the monster trying to eat the 2. Eventually, they get attacked by the monster, including Hubei. When the monster is about to devour Hubei, Shirley protects him. The monster stubbornly wants to attack him, so Shirley throws a car at it. Shirley immediately goes to Hubei, who is heavily injured, and tells him that he will be just fine, for she will come back. Hubei tells her that she looks just like Yang Ping. The other 3, Qinteng, Wang Gain-san, and Chow Weiwei, are on the verge of their deaths. Suddenly, Hubei shoots Shirley multiple times. The monsters about to eat them suddenly run back to a portal and vanish. The demon tower as well gets destroyed. While Hubei is crying as he looks at Shirley, she tells him that he is the only one who can kill her. At the very last moment, the 2 kiss as Shirley lies dead beside him. In much sorrow and anguish, Hubei cries in pain. When he turns, he sees Yang Ping back, but she is lying fatally wounded. He tries to tell her not to go, but she lost too much blood. She bids him farewell and carries her body to the tomb. At the end of the movie, Yang Ping's background is revealed. It appears that she is a descendant of the demon race. When she was a child, she found out that she has supernatural powers. Her mother reprimands her because it will backfire someday. At some point in her life, she witnesses her mother burn to death because she has used her powers many times. From that day on, her father decides to venture into Kunlun to remove the curse from her and save her. It is also revealed that they all got fatally injured the time that they have fallen from a high place. Yang Ping uses her supernatural powers and heals them all. Yang Ping then tells him that he is the one she loves the most. Finally, she requests Subai to find her father because he is still alive. At the closing of the film, a monster gazes at them from afar as the movie ends.